Missed him. Oh, well. Good afternoon, everyone. Or good evening, I should say. I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see, we got Carol Princess here, Dale from Ohio, JJ's in the house, Tina Green, Wishika's here, Nostradamus, Gregory Martinez, Jason M. Schmidt. So welcome, everybody. I got to show you who I got on my lap right at the moment. Little Miss Bonnie. And there she goes. All right. Welcome, welcome. I hope everybody is doing all right. All right. So before we jump into anything, I just want to remind everybody that this is a very family-friendly oriented channel. I would ask you all to please be decent in the chat. The children will come in, but I have moderators that are awesome that will spank them as they should be spanked. Spank them like their mama didn't spank them, right? Too funny. So, anyway, I'm going to try to get this freaking flying again. Hold on one second. Ah! Success. The little pleasures in life, right? Okay, so anyway, all right, so what do we got? So who do we trust? Topic of this conversation today, right? And that's a tough one, guys. I'm going to tell you what, and a lot of people are going to say, well, I don't trust anybody. But and I'm going to go from my own personal experience with this one, okay? If you take chances, right? Sometimes you are going to get burned, all right? Sometimes you are going to get burned. But if you don't take any chances, then you're never going to know, all right? And that's just a fact. So, you give it a shot. Hopefully it works out. Sometimes it's not going to. I can tell you from my experience here with doing what I'm doing here with having a group and stuff like that. There's Asif. Welcome, Asif. If I never took the chance, I would have missed out on meeting some very amazing people. My buddy Eric, who you guys don't ever see on camera, but if I never took a chance, I never would have met him. You look at Sandy and Johnson, Mark and Rob, and everybody else in the group, Bud and everyone, Les and everybody, if you never take that chance, you will never know. Now, have I been burned? Absolutely, yes, I've been burned. But that's part of taking that chance. If you don't ever take that chance, you're never going to know. Is it hard to trust people? Absolutely, it's hard to trust people. I have talked till I'm blue in the face on here about the importance of having a group. I've talked about that over and over and over again. Yeah, trust your animals. Oh, yeah, absolutely trust your animals. Like I say, I think that it's so important to have a group of people that you can trust that are going to have your back. I thought it was so important that's why I decided to do a group in the first place. Because again, folks, I'm going to tell you what, I don't care how independent you think you are. I don't care what skill sets you think that you have. At some point, you're going to have to rest. At some point, you may get hurt. At some point, you may get sick. I mean, these are all really, really pertinent things. And if you're the end all be all, you're going to be in big, big trouble, especially if your family is counting on you. So you can't even trust family sometimes. Exactly, T's promo. Oh, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. You know, but again, I'm going to encourage you to take chances, okay? Because if you never do, you never find out, you know. And it's hard. It's hard to give people that trust, but if you don't, um, you're never going to know. And I don't trust my family when it comes to money or them being uncomfortable. I totally get it, and I totally understand. I totally understand that Malachi's corner. It's very, very hard. It is, but yeah, there are people out there that are going to have your back no matter what. I can remember as a child my grandfather saying to me, "If you can count the number of true friends you have on one hand," he goes, "you are truly a lucky man." So there's a huge, huge difference, folks, between friends and acquaintances. So don't get that twisted, okay? I know a lot of people. I have a lot of acquaintances, but there are very few people, that I would say that person's my friend. Um, I am I'm a loyalty guy, always have been. Sending you a green tea, brother. RC Kev, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And on that note, I'll take a sip of this one. So there she is. What are you doing, girlie? That's like her corner up there. So, but anyway, yeah, friends are someone you can call at 2 in the morning and will not get upset. Exactly. They will be there for you no matter what. No matter what. And that's a good feeling to know that you have people that you can count on. So but again, if you never make yourself vulnerable, right? If you never make yourself vulnerable, and that's what you're doing when you're taking a chance with people, you're making yourself vulnerable. You're exposing yourself to them. Then you will never know. And I'm really glad that I have. I was never really super trustful of a lot of people, and for good reason. I mean, for good reason. But depressing how the number of people I trust has dwindled on one hand. I hear you, H. Smith. I hear you. Asif says finding the right spouse is a blessing, married 26 years. Well, that is the exception these days, Asif, rather than the rule. So many people today, and you know what, when it even comes to like marriage, okay, they're supposed to be there for you through the good times or the bad times. Either way, husband or wife, doesn't matter which one. You're supposed to be there for each other no matter what. But unfortunately, in our society today, it makes it very easy for people to go, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. So they can quit, if you will, instead of put the work in, and they can walk away. And then they get rewarded for walking away. It's unfortunate. But what do we got? 141 in the chat already. We got 48 thumbs up. So if you do not have a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to please do so to show support for the channel. I thank you for that ahead of time. It really makes a huge difference with the algorithms. So I do appreciate that as well. Also, again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon to get all things. Yeah. Make sure to hit the bell icon to get all notifications as well. I couldn't get it out. So, but yeah. Anyway, Jackie says going on 53 years and it's not an easy journey. Yeah, I hear you. No, I understand that. Like I said, it takes teamwork. That's what it takes. It takes teamwork. So, but that's part of what happens. Part of what happens. So, but again, like I said, trust is hard. And I'll give you some examples of how I've gotten burned here. People have stolen from me. Bringing in strangers giving somebody a chance, and the next thing you know, um, things are missing, and that's happened here. But yeah, once bitten, twice shy when it comes to trust. Exactly, exactly. It's unfortunate that you have to see. Like I said, I try to give people a fair shot. I give them a chance for it to be trustworthy, and sometimes people just are going to do what they're going to do. It's like you said again. It's an unfortunate thing, but it does happen. But again, if you never take the chance, you also miss out on an opportunity to network and get together with really great people. I mean, I've, in my traveling, and I've met so many people through the years that, are willing to work together. We had talked about at one time setting something up like an underground railroad type of thing, just in case. And I had a lot of people reach out to me and say, if you're traveling and you're trying to get back, if you need to come and stay a couple of days here or there, you could. So, but sad but true, Ed, thieves are everywhere, it seems, or a bunch of snitches. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You get somebody that don't like you, and for whatever reason, right? Again, I will use a great example of on here, and we'll use me. There are people on here that don't like me for whatever reason, and that's fine. You don't have to like me, and it is what it is. But I can't understand the concept of keep watching, try to cause problems with the town or the county or whatever the case may be. It just, I don't get that. You can't think of anything positive to do on your own stuff, you know. But they just, for whatever reason, they become fixated on you, and whatever you say, well, a great example of that would be Trump, right? I mean, my God, the guy is trying to do everything that he can to help the country, and every time he turns around, there's people trying to throw up roadblocks, like the judges, and trying to slow the momentum down. I don't like a great example of that would be, how can these judges say, hey, wait a minute, oh, wait, you're getting rid of these criminal element out of our country that are here illegally in the first place? No, we can't have that. It doesn't make any sense. There was just one that got arrested by ICE. Now, I want you to think about this, okay? I want you to think about this. So this guy in the country illegally, um, he was working as a police officer on whatever police force it was. And maybe he was doing a good job. Maybe he was a good cop or whatever the case may be. But again, he's here illegally. I mean, I don't care if you come in here illegally and you do everything else the right way, it still makes you a criminal because you didn't do it the right way, you know? So I don't know. I just don't get it. So the fact is, people try to knock you down because, like crabs in a bucket, can't let you do your own thing. Yeah, that's for sure. That is for sure. Or, a lot of times it's jealousy because they won't take the chance. They won't do something like that, and that's why they're mad and they're angry. So it's just, it's one of those things. It's just one of those things. So, just people are going to be people. They're going to do their thing, and you just kind of have to go with the flow, unfortunately. So I just, to me, I don't get that. I'm not going to go through my life like that. I'm going to try the best I can to be decent. Give people a chance. You know, um, people maybe get the wrong impression of you. I mean, who knows? Whatever reason that they have for not liking you. I mean, I've always been straight up. I say it like it is, and I know that irritates people, and some people don't like that. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you what you want to hear because it makes you more comfortable. I'll tell you the truth, and if you don't like the truth, then you're going to be mad at me, right? So I just don't get that. I really don't. But trust is hard. And I agree with you. Trust is very, very difficult. And, you know, some people won't ever even take the chance. And I do understand why. I do understand why. But, you know, if, like I said, again, if you never take that chance, you'll never know. And like I said, you look at everybody, you know, that's here in the group, you know, I got some great people that I've surrounded myself with. And when the time comes, they know two things, you know, well, there's things that you should know then at that point. Hopefully, they're going to have your back because I'm going to absolutely have their back when that time comes. Um, when I tell you I'm a loyalty guy, that's who I am. If you're decent to me, I'm going to be decent to you. Um, I'm going to have your back. That's always how I've rolled, and I'm going to continue to roll that way. You know, if you've got my trust. So, yes, Colonel Jessup said on the stand, right, you can't handle the truth. And a lot of people can't. I know, you know, my ex mother in law, she didn't like me because, you know, I wouldn't let her run the show and have say in my house. Well, like I used to say, what I said then, I said, and I never said it to her because I made sure, you know, I said to my ex at the time, I said, you relay this message to your mother because if I do it, I won't sugarcoat it. And basically, what I said, you tell your mother that she can have say so in this house when she pays the bills. When she doesn't, she needs to shut the hell up. I mean, you know, simple as that. Whatever decisions were made in our house was myself and my wife. We made the decisions, not somebody on the sidelines chirping away. And, you know, I don't mind advice, never did mind advice, but don't tell me, oh, you got to do it this way. You know, I don't have to do anything. It's just like even on here, when people say, my favorite thing, you need to. No, I don't. I don't need to do anything. Now, I've taken a ton of advice off the channel and very much appreciated that advice. Does that mean that I'm going to take everything everybody says and go, yeah, I'm going to do it like that? Absolutely not. You know, but I'm going to try to do the best that I can. And I've had a great example of advice, okay? When I was still in New York at the old Homestead, I had taken 4 pallets, I think it was 4 pallets, and with kindling wood, I made a nice circle, right? Nice circle. And then I could throw all more kindling in the center, bigger pieces on the outside and around, up, I don't know, maybe chest high, and then threw all more kindling in the center. So, you know, it was really a cool way to do it to save kindling, right? And I put it right up against my house, right? Put it right up against my house. And I had people say, oh my God, Ed, don't, you're going to have to move that because you're going to get termites and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And I thought about it, right? And I was like, oh man, crap. They're 100% right. The people that said that were 100% right. So I had to break that whole thing down, move it 5 feet over. Yeah, there you go. You need to pet all the cats and dogs and tell them I said hi. There you go. Um, but again, I had to move it 5 feet. They were right. They were 100% right. But I was irritated with myself. It just, I didn't think about it. Didn't think like, hey, wow, you know what? They're, you know, and when people give you that good advice, you gotta listen to it. You know, you don't not do it out of stubbornness. That's stupid. So, you know, again, that's just one example of advice that I've gotten through the years that was spot on and they were correct. You know, and but yeah, off grid world says I hate doing things twice. I hear you. You know, but again, not one of us. I don't get the concept when people think like I'll make mistakes, right? And people will go, "Oh, what kind of prepper are you? You know, you didn't do this or you didn't do that or whatever the case may be." Well, I'm not perfect. Never claimed to be perfect. I'm out here doing the best I possibly can. And if that doesn't meet your standards, well, then I apologize and go watch somebody else that is perfect, that never shows their mistakes. Because I guarantee you, I don't care what prepper channel's out there, every single one of them is making mistakes. Maybe not everybody is showing their mistakes, but I think that I've always felt that it was important to share the mistakes because not only it shows that we all screw up, but hopefully you learn from my mistake. You know, like I'll give you an example, right? So yesterday I'm like, first of the month. Well, not first. It's almost the end of the month right now because it's the last day of the month. Um, an example would be I'm like, I got to get out and fire up that generator. I didn't fire it up in the beginning of July. So I went out yesterday, flipped the switch on, fired it up. First pull, guys, fired right up. I ran it for a little bit. Went, all right, we're good. But again, trying to stay that consistent course of the advice that I gave you because I screwed up with the generator and I had 1 year, I didn't run it all summer. And when it came to the time that I needed to run it, because I hadn't run it all summer, I had issues. So making sure your equipment is running properly. That was a good learning lesson, not only for me, because I didn't make that mistake again, but also for you guys, because you go, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. JJ said, Ed, you have a cold front heading your way coming down from Canada. Man, JJ, I hope so. It has been um, ridiculously hot. When you are sitting there and not doing anything and sweating, that sucks. That sucks. So only mistake we're losing 1 minute every night and 1 minute every morning. Yeah, no kidding. It's that time of year, unfortunately. I know I can't believe tomorrow is going to be the 1st of August already. I don't know if I shared with you guys. My mom just had her 82nd birthday. It was July 26th. So mom turned 82 years old. So I thought it was funny because I remember when mom turned 80 2 years ago, right? And I called her up, and I love her attitude with this. And I said, well, mom, I said, now that you've hit 80, you think you're making it to 90? And her reply was, I don't see why not. I love that. I love that. She's active. She's doing things. She's taking care of things. And that's really, really cool. So that's a good thing. So, but yeah, she's a good old girl. We talk a lot. Like I said, just because I'm not there with my family doesn't mean we still don't talk all the time, because we do. I talk with Heather every single day. I talk with mom almost every day. Talk to my sister quite a bit. I talk with Eddie. So, but how many beers did she mash? I'm not even sure. I'm sure she had one at least. But yeah, we actually had rain come through. Imagine that. What a shock. Cooled things down a little bit here, but the humidity's been bad. It's just it's just been one of those it's been such a weird year this year. So our cool down finally in Nebraska 77. Yeah, actually I can tell you, where did I put my phone? Where did I put my phone? Let me go grab my phone real quick and I'll tell you what the temperature is. I don't always have it right up my butt every second. Let's see. Most of the time, yes. Let's see where we're at. Oh, okay. They're saying right now. All right, so the humidity is still at 78% right now, but the temperature is 79 still. So, and we're only going down to like 68, but it's supposed to be cooler tomorrow, and then we're going to be in the 79 for a high tomorrow. Saturday is going to be a high of 79, but 57 at night, which to me See, that's good weather. Give me like low 70s during the day, 50s at night for sleeping. That's perfect. That's perfect because you're not uncomfortable, you know. So, but Nebraska was 100 2 days ago. Wow. Yeah, that's hot. That is hot. Well, and it's funny too. I like when people will say, like in Nevada, it's 102 to 105 degrees. They go, well, it's a dry heat. 105 is 105, folks. I don't care. I was in Death Valley here in, out there, um, lowest point in the United States. And I got a picture of me standing next to the temperature gauge. And a lot of people did that just because I did it because I thought it was cool. And I think it was like 105. And it's a dry heat. But I will tell you what, man, it's bad. The heat can suck, but I hate winter. I hear you. Like I said, I've always liked fall. Fall's always been my favorite time of year because the leaves change. It's beautiful. You might be in the 60s, 70s during the day, and then, you're cooler at night. So, yeah, I like that. It is what it is, though, right? I mean, it's always going to be that way. We got to deal with it, and there's not much we're going to do to change it. So, it's all part of that cycle that we got to deal with. But it's amazing to me that it's already, tomorrow will be August 1st. How fast that time does fly. So what do we got? 207 in the chat, guys. We got 97 thumbs up. So if you have not shot that thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to please do so to show support for the channel. And I thank you ahead of time. Also, again, it really does make a huge, huge difference with the algorithms. So I thank you for that as well. Again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And I love the fall too. I'm in Northern California and it gets beautiful here. Oh yeah, that whole area, Northern California. Like I said, I've been up through that way. It's awesome up there. Beautiful. See, this is what you know. What? So I want to talk about. Let's talk about California for a second. People get so much hate for California, and the whole state is not that liberal mindset. Now, like in a lot of states, are the major cities very liberal? Yes, they are. Because so many people are there and they have that mindset, the rest of the state suffers. That's New York, guys. New York is the same thing. If you look at the map when it's election time, the cities in New York are all blue. The entire rest of the state is red. But there's so many more people in the cities that's why there's an issue. Always going to be that way. Always going to be that way. But I want people to think, like when people say, oh, I hope that California drops into the ocean. California on its own, and I want you to think about this, okay? California on its own is the 6th largest economy in the world. Not just in the United States, guys, in the world, the 6th largest. So much of our agriculture, a lot of our fruits and vegetables and pecans and whatever else is grown in California. So, when people say, and not everybody is a lunatic, bleeding heart liberal in California. There's a lot of conservative people out there. But what you're seeing, just like with New York, same thing. A lot of people have got to a point where they're like, I am not paying these ridiculous taxes anymore. Not doing it. And I'm out. And so they leave. And I did. And, and I did it for a lot of reasons, I have a question for you. I'm diabetic with other meds. What other meds can I use for insulin and SHTF? Well, depending on what kind, are you insulin dependent diabetic? I mean, because some people that are diabetic, their stuff can change, through diet and exercise and, losing weight and stuff like that. But if you are an insulin dependent diabetic, your chances of lasting long term in an SHTF situation are not good. And saying that, my mother is an insulin dependent diabetic, guys. So it's not like, like I said, I'm always going to shoot you straight. I'm always going to shoot you straight. But yeah, that's a fact. Unfortunately, if you are on dialysis and SHTF happens, you know, say your goodbyes to the people that you love and you care about. You know, there's so many people that are compromised that in a true SHTF situation, they're not going to be around long, folks. I want you to think about, and I'm not, please don't think that I'm slamming on these people. Yes, the 1 second after, Asa was talking about in the book, 1 second after. His daughter is an insulin dependent diabetic, and she ends up dying because they can't, there's nothing that they can do. And the father was trying to do everything that he possibly could to keep her alive, but it's just the way it is. My cat's diabetic and he gets insulin twice a day. In SHTF, we'd have to put him down. We can only store 1 year of insulin in the fridge according to the vet. Yeah, and that's the sad reality. That is the sad reality. So, hello, little purr box. The two of them. I mean, I'll tell you what. I gotta thank Danny once again because Danny brought me these cats. Let's talk about that. We'll talk. Larry's asked me, did I see what the crazy beatdown in Cincinnati? We'll talk about that. That, what you saw in Cincinnati, was a hate crime. That's a hate crime, folks. When you have a group of people of one race attack somebody else that is a different race, and I'm not going to say what color and all that. I'm not going to do that. But what I'm just going to say is when you are targeted because of the color of your skin and you are beaten up and brutalized that way, all right, that is a hate crime. And the people that participated in that hate crime, it's just like, okay, if you remember back, and I want you to, so we're going to go back and we're going to talk about when the whole Rodney King thing happened. Do you remember that one trucker that they pulled him out of the truck and they beat him and they almost killed that guy? You know who saved him? I want you to think about this. Who saved that guy? Did the police rush in? Did the paramedics rush in and save that gentleman? No. It was other people that were there that saw it that obviously did not agree with the mob rule, what the mob was doing, and said, no, don't do this. And they stopped it and they saved that man's life. Okay. And they were the same color as the people that were doing that beatdown. What I find sad in that whole situation in our society today, oh, the guy died from the injuries? That's too bad. Yeah, that's too bad. What I find sad in our society today, flip that script, right? Flip that script. If it was a crowd of a different color race attacking a certain race that is used all the time to prop up and do all that, it would be national news. They would be screaming from the rooftops for justice. Al Sharpton would be there in a heartbeat, okay? And all those race baiters, because that's what they are, the race baiters, okay? We should treat each other with respect and dignity no matter what. Because I will tell you what, me personally, I don't care what color you are. I don't. If you're cool with me, I'm going to be cool with you. All right? And that's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line. Be careful. No. I don't want you over near the wire. I don't want you knocking it. But it's a sad situation, that all these type of things are not handled the same way, which they should be handled the same way, is a travesty of justice, in my opinion. That's a travesty. Should not happen, should never happen. But if it does, the people that do it should be punished. Yeah, there's only one race, the human race. Exactly. You cut us, we all bleed the same color, which is red. So, I saw comments, that people were putting up, and it's just, you know, you're a, here's what amazes me: 15 on one. Wow, what a tough guy those guys must have been. They needed 15 people against one man and his wife. You know, sad, sad. That mob mentality and that training to be that victim. Well, I'm a victim, and I feel justified for doing this. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. We all have an opportunity. What we do with that opportunity is up to us. Yeah, unless you're one of the lizard people, Tess said. Well, that's true. Unless you're a hybrid, right? Half alien, half human. So, yeah, it's just, yeah, after they had him on the ground, it got worse. Yeah, I saw, yeah, you know, yeah, an off-grid world said, and that's why open carry is important. Oh, yeah, I will tell you right now. Let's put it like this. If that man had been armed and been allowed to defend himself, you shoot one or two people, and that whole mob is going to run away. They're going to run away. So, yeah, a lot of young people were there. Where were the parents? Well, that's always the thing. They're always running the streets. People are, doing stupid things and, you know, getting into stuff they shouldn't be getting into. Yeah, a couple of well-placed shots. People will get a definite, it's an attitude readjustment. They're not so tough then. Not so tough then. But it's like I said, those types of situations, and I'm going to tell you what. So let's talk about this a little even more in depth. That's exactly what they want, folks. They want you to be a victim. They want you to be a victim. They don't want you to be able to defend yourself. And who is they? Whoever's really calling the shots. When you see all these politicians, they weren't young. There was 34 and a 39-year-old arrested. Oh, okay. Well, like I said, it's a sad situation. But, when you hear these politicians screaming for gun control, that's a great reason why we should never give in to that. Because you should be able to defend yourself. I'll tell you what, I had a conversation with a police officer. A true story just happened the other day. I had a conversation with a police officer. And we were talking about, because West Virginia is the way West Virginia is, he said to me, he goes, I would rather see people carry. He goes, and I said, yeah, because an armed society is a polite society. Because if you figure everybody else is armed just like you are, people are not going to get out of line. Now, there's still going to be hotheads, don't get me wrong. Always going to be hotheads. But the chances of people acting stupid if they know that you're armed is just not going to happen. I was in a Dollar General. I'll give you another good example. Now, I open carry. I will tell you right now, I open carry. And people say, well, you should conceal carry. When seconds matter, I want to be able to have access to it right away. That's my mindset with that, okay? But here's the thing. I was in a Dollar General, and I'm standing in line, and this guy gets behind me, or he was near me when we're talking. And he says, what are the gun laws in West Virginia? And I said, well, it's open concealed carry with no permit needed. He goes, oh, that's pretty cool. He goes, if I was a bad guy and I was coming into the store thinking about robbing the place, he goes, and I saw you standing there with a gun on your hip, he goes, it would make me think twice. Now, other people have said, okay, so, and I agreed with him on that. I absolutely agree with him. Now, other people have said to me, well, that makes you a target. They're going to target you first. If they're looking to rob the place and they see armed people, there's Mr. Clyde. He's a good boy, too. This cat here, man, he is a lover. Like I said, I'm really happy that I got these cats from Danny. They're awesome. They're awesome cats. But anyway, people say, well, it makes you a target because they'll target you first. Generally, people that are doing robberies and stuff like that, they're cowards. They are, you know, they're cowards, and they're not going to be looking for a confrontation with somebody that can do something about it. They're not going to. They're going to wait for an opportunity. They're going to wait for you to be gone, and then maybe they'll go back in and do the robbery. But they're not looking to go after somebody that can do something about it. And I'll tell you what, I see a lot of people carry down here. A lot of people do. And like I said, this police officer was like, he goes, I'm always situationally aware of who has a gun, and I pay attention, he says, but he goes, it's their right. They have the right to do it. And I love that attitude. That's a cop, and he was a young man. I would say late 20s, maybe, something like that. But, it was, he had the right attitude about it. He, and the thing is, those guys got such a tough job. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want that. I have a friend who said just what you said, Ed. I don't think it that way until he and I had a respectful conversation on guns. That was years ago. Yeah, like I said, my thing is this: if you don't like guns, then don't have a gun. Which is, again, you're right. You have the right not to have a gun if you don't want one. But just because it makes you uncomfortable, I shouldn't have to give up my right to protect myself. All right, Asif, we'll see you in a little bit. I shouldn't have to give up my right to protect myself because it makes you uncomfortable. That's a you problem, not a me problem. I'm going to talk about another conversation I had. You guys saw me with Dan a few times down here. I was taking care of him when I first came down here. Real good guy. And we were at a Chick-fil-A. Okay. And I know you probably would be shocked at this. I talk to everybody. Imagine that. What a shock, right? I talk to everybody. Well, I see a family, and the one has a Yankee hat on. And so I had stopped, and I said, are you a real fan, or you just like the hat? Because I always ask, because I don't want to talk baseball with somebody that's not really a fan. And they were like, no, we're real fans. We follow the Yankees. And they were from Ohio, okay? And so I had to go get him more ketchup or something. And I stopped and was talking with them again. And they had a foreign exchange student with them, a girl from Germany, okay? And he was like, the father was like, yeah, the first thing she said she saw was the gun on your hip. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, if somebody, the kind of society we live in today with the crazy people out there, I said, if somebody walked into the store right now and started trying to shoot the place up, all right, well, everybody else would run away. I said, I would defend you all, plus myself. I said, I'm not going to be a victim. So I said, I would definitely engage. And so at this point, some guy who was not part of our conversation, standing over on the side here, turns around with like venom in his voice and he goes, I don't need you to protect me. And I gave him the perfect answer, folks. This is what I said to him. I looked at him and I said, well, sir, I said, I would do it anyway. What do you say to that? There's no comeback to that. And he just turned around and never said another word. But first of all, you weren't part of the conversation, right? Have you heard anything about how Dan is doing lately? I have. So Dan was having Alzheimer's dementia, okay? And so his family made the decision to put him in a nursing home. He lasted months, folks. He only lasted a few months in the nursing home. Made me feel really, really bad because I know that if he had still been home and I was still going and helping and taking care of him, he would still be alive. Really, really liked Dan. He was such a good dude. He was so decent. We got along great. I mean, he was confused. He couldn't remember squat, but he, Unfortunate, one of those things. The family thought they were doing the right thing. I'm going to give you guys some advice, okay? As someone who has worked in nursing homes, I would not put a dog into a nursing home. All right, whatever shiny crap they give you, they're all the same. They're all the same. They're going to always be short-staffed. There's never going to be enough people to take care of the people the way they should be and deserve to be taken care of. And that's not always the staff's fault. Okay, I want you to know that right now. Management in those places suck. They suck. They treat people like garbage. CNAs are treated like less than garbage. The turnover rate in nursing homes for CNAs is horrific. Horrific. And it's just, like I said, people deserve better. People deserve to be treated better. But at the end of the day, in a nursing home, it's always about the bottom line, and it's about the money. And the amount of money that they get, people should have the staff on hand. They should have the staff on hand to be able to take care of those people the right way. And they never do. They never do. Guys, I could write a book on stuff that I've seen and dealt with. Oh, yeah, I got to do egg count. Okay, JJ, 1 second. Things that I've seen in nursing homes and the way management is, I could write a book on it. I would highly advise none of you to put your loved one in a facility if you can help it. So, anyway, that being said, all right, I'm going to ask for thumbs up one more time here before we do the egg count. So we have 216 people in the chat. We got 138 thumbs up. Please, 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 if you have not shot one yet, throw a thumbs up there, and I do really appreciate it. It really does make a huge difference with the algorithms. So the more interaction, the better for the channel. So that's appreciated. Also, again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. Okay, so total number of eggs that we got today. Did Miss Betty White lay, yes or no? And how many pullet eggs? So how many of the total eggs were pullet eggs? So I'll give you a moment to get your guesses in, and we will go from there. Now, total number of hens, we are at 14 hens. Just let you know that as well. Not all the new hens are laying yet, though. Give you guys another minute, and we'll go from there. All right, I guess that is enough time. We do not have a winner tonight. We do not have a winner tonight. We had 7 eggs today. Yes, Miss Betty White did lay, and 4 of the 7 eggs were pullet eggs. Okay. Morning Light, I have worked in a nursing home too. Everything Ed says about them is true. Yeah, it is. I'm going to show you guys now. I had people asking me, what's a pullet egg? Okay. So here's normal size eggs. There's Miss Betty White's egg, right? So I'm going to show you that. There's a pullet egg. Much, much smaller. The reason that they're small, and they're called a pullet egg, is when the hens start to lay. Okay. When they start to lay, they lay small eggs until they've been laying for a little bit, and then the eggs will gradually get bigger. This egg is already bigger than when I first started getting them. So there's the difference. That's why this is called a pullet egg. That's a normal egg. And then I got like this. This is another hen, and I'm not sure which hen it is. she lays a lot, and it's a lot of and I know it's the same chicken all the time because of the coloration of the egg. Like, I'll show you another regular sized egg. So you see how this one's lighter? This one's a little bit darker. But there's one hen, and I'm not even sure which one it is. I know which one's Betty White because she lays all the time. She's my only hen that lays white eggs. So, but yeah, they had to spend 3 weeks in a nursing home for rehab. Depressing. Oh, absolutely depressing. Very, very depressing. But yeah, it is. Yeah, you can do that. Yep, the shells can be used for calcium. Absolutely. But yeah, they're fun chickens. I like my chickens. But it's like, again, it's just that's a daily chore. Not collecting the eggs. Collecting the eggs is easy, but making sure they have enough food. Making sure they have enough water. I pretty much every single day refresh the water every day. Um, that's we've gotten several triple yolks lately from our chickens. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, now see, I haven't had that from this group, but and it's weird because of my 5 original hens, pretty much right now 3 are laying. So I don't know what. Yes, I've used my basket. Yep, because I'm starting to get more. It makes it a little bit more difficult to start carrying them all. But yeah, the chickens are fun. I had gone out earlier and got 6, and then I went out later and checked again, and that's when I got the other pullet egg. So that's how we ended up with 7 today. And the other ones will get laying. They'll all start laying. So they're fun though. I like the chickens. They're a lot of fun. But you know, um, but the other thing, like I said again, going back to trust. All right, it is very difficult to trust people, and I understand that. No, I don't worry about any of that, Roy. No, no, eggs are good for you. See, anything that's good for you, they tell you it's bad. Um, no, I have not been harvesting any honey. I'm actually going to probably this week go down and look and see how they're doing. At this time of year, what I try to do is I try to leave them alone as much as I can because they're busy. And I'll check on them like once a week or so. And I got to make sure that when it's time to add that next box, because you don't want them to get too much. Because what'll happen is if they get too full and they don't have work to do, that's when they'll lay put the queen cells. They'll start laying queen cells because they know they got to expand, they got to move, and then like part of the colony will leave, and you don't want that. So, but if they have work to do, then you should be okay. I'll tell you right now, the last hive the middle hive. The middle hive, I will get no honey out of that hive this year. None. I will get no honey from that hive. I don't know if I'll get any from the end hive because they haven't got to that point yet where they are ready to expand. The first hive is the only one that I have that third box on with the queen separator and like that. So that hive, I haven't, if I get any honey this year, it'll be out of that hive. So I will definitely, that's what I'll be checking this next time I go down. I'll be looking at that. I'll look at the other 2 hives and see how they're doing. Like a lot of times what I'll have to do is, I have to take, like if they're clustered all here and they haven't worked on their outside things yet, you take out the row out of where they're all jammed together. You take that row out, you move it more to an outer one, put an emptier one in that spot, and that encourages them to, continue to get to work. So they got to stay busy. So, but yeah, bees. We're what the two things. Like I said, this year I'm hoping is different. Okay, I'm hoping. One, we will be insulating the boxes for the upcoming winter. So we will be getting the foam board insulation that will go around the outside of these boxes to help keep the bees warm. They'll still have access to be able to get in and out, but they'll have that. Okay, that's number one. The fact that we move them from the upper meadow, where it's a lot more windy, to down back here, where it's more sheltered, I think that's going to make a difference as well. I'm hoping that it does. So I hope we don't have issues again. I really don't. I mean, it's just, it is that one hive I think would have survived. No, the AC is not fixed in the RV. So I've just been dealing with it. So, which makes it fun. But no, the bees are. I love the bees. I think the bees are awesome. Eating their honey, it's like the absolute best. It's really something it's a lot of, for me. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. But we're just gonna have to keep going with what we're going. Hey Ed, are you going to plant a garden next year? And is it going to be private or a community garden? What we want to try to do, Mimi, it's a good question, and thank you for asking. What we want to try to do is, one, the pavilion is done and the shower room is done, which should, and no guarantees of anything, right? For the most part, should be done, before the end of this year. Both of them should be. There's two other projects that we're going to have coming up after that. One is going to be a greenhouse. That's going to be a project that we definitely want to get going, and that will be a community greenhouse. So whatever we grow there, we'll can, and then, people can take some of that home. We'll keep some of it here on site as well, and, we'll do that. The other thing that we want to get going after, the shower room is done and the pavilion is done. And the pavilion is, when I say done, I mean insulated, being able to shut it in so that it would keep it warm. That's what I mean by done. There's going to be more stuff that's got to go on. We got to put more cabinets in there and all that type of stuff in the pavilion. So that will have to happen, but that's going to be another thing over time. But so anyway, then we want to build a root cellar, and we got a spot that we're going to utilize that is just got to be opened up a little bit, which we could do, which is not going to be that big of an issue. Open that spot up, and then start laying block in drainage and all that good stuff, and then rebury everything and do it that way. And so that's another project that's going to be coming. What I would like to try to do once these two are done, then we can start banging on a greenhouse and doing that. What we may end up doing over, in the winter, we can work on a couple other things that can be worked on that, and then, save the money, and then in the spring, go all in and really work on those other two projects. So I think that may be something that we're going to be doing. We'll have to see how it all goes. But, it'll come together. It will come together. Like I said, all of it is just, it's time and money is what it comes down to. Always going to be time and money. So, but yes, I do want to put a garden in this year, but I want it in a greenhouse. So if we get a ton of rain, like we have this year, or we get, drought, that we will have the water on hand with, with the totes and all that type of stuff, so that we should be okay. So time, it's all about time. Time will tell. But so that's where we're at. We'll get there. We will get there. But like I said, we just got to steady work on stuff. And hopefully before the snow flies, and of course, right, with everything else, we still have to get everybody's rain catchment set up. We still have to get everybody's wood stoves in. We're making headway. We're making headway. But, would I like to have all those things already done? I would love to see them already done, but that's just not going to be the case right now. So we're going to do the best that we can, and we're going to go from there. So, like I said, we'll get there. We will get there. So, anyway, guys, I am going to jump off for now. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Hope your week is going to go well. Let's see. I will be live streaming. I got to look and see with my schedule. I got to look and see. I know that I'll be live streaming next Friday for sure, and next Sunday for sure. So not this Sunday coming up, but the following week. It'll be definitely Friday, and then definitely Sunday. So that may be the 2 days that I can do this week coming up. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know. But have a good one, guys. Keep prepping. Take care of your business. I will see you all later. And take a chance. Sometimes it's not a bad thing. Okay? I'll talk to you later. Bye.